Really, then I think none of the media really gave you the conclusion that I got from the testimony. The real conclusion, if you peel everything else away, ditch the silly infighting and arguing about the Prime Minister's fiancée and the Secretary of State, his real conclusion, I think, was democracy is basically completely broken. If it's producing a choice between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn, it's a broken system. Now, in many ways, I agree with that, but I think the solution to that is diametrically opposite of what Mr. Cummings wants. And as an extension to sort of democracy is broken, he went on to say cabinet government basically a waste of time. Why even go? That's just a waste of time. It's Potemkinsky, just going through the motions. And the key thing of everything he's suggested, and I've looked quite closely at the people he's been talking about, the special advisors, it's basically the established way of doing things, which involves a hierarchy where, for better or for worse, more senior people tend to end up in the hierarchy with experience. He wants to sweep all that away, ditch the experience, and basically put all his eggs in the big data, artificial intelligence, brave new world approach, hiring the youngest analysts I've seen, probably with virtually no experience in whatever field it is they're talking about. So many of the people he's talking about being great data analysts and producing analysis for Number 10, they have zero background in medicine and epidemiology. They're good at maths, which is great. I mean, you do need some good maths people, but I don't think you can build an effective system just on maths and big data crunching. And, this is where he's got to, where the modelers are the geniuses, and even though the models are wrong, and everybody else is sort of, unfortunately, the Prime Minister listens to people actually know what they're doing. And that's unfortunate because all the eggs are in the modelling basket. Now, at the end of the day, the conclusion from that is he is advocating technocracy. And this is a very interesting book from Patrick Wood. There's also a very interesting interview with him on the Delingpole podcast, where he describes what technocracy is. Now, I've read most of that book, and it's absolutely one-to-one what we're seeing now. This is a sort of top-down scientific management by sort of data crunching elite from the 1930s was the original concept, and it's been reheated for 2021. But that basically is what, as far as I can see, Dominic Cummings believes in. And that's important for the reason on the next a great reset, and it's ludicrous of certain commentators who I won't mention to deny that, because there is books, papers, speeches setting that fact out, that COVID-19 and the Great Reset are linked. And this is one of the probably more important paragraphs from Klaus Schwab's book, which I'll read the highlighted parts from. In one form or another, social and physical distancing measures are likely to persist after the pandemic itself subsides. So there's no idea of going back. Basically, this sort of soft lockdown possibly will continue. And then he sort of further expands on that. A world in which human beings can't get too close to each other or are willing to reduce their interactions, full stop, then our lingering and possibly lasting fear of being infected. Now, the last line is quite interesting, because I think one thing we've all learned is that fear has been manufactured and emphasized and inflated as much as possible. Now, we went back into early 2020 and saw, who were the key players manufacturing that fear. And surprise, surprise, Klaus Schwab was one of those figures, claiming that COVID-19 was, I wouldn't say an existential threat, but one of the worst, I think, the last 100 years, he said. Another figure was also, surprise, surprise, Bill Gates. And the third figure is George Soros. So, those are very senior, sort of level-headed guys that have seen it all. But, coincidentally, they all cried that COVID-19 will be threat of the last 100 years or since the Second World War, language like that. Now it is a disease, and it's very bad, and lots of people have suffered from it. But at the end of the day, it will have less loss of life in terms of years of life lost than 1957 and 1968 influenza. So yes, it's very bad, but creating that panic, once you're panicked, then you can do all kinds of silly things, and I think that's really where we are today. Now, the reason that fits in nicely with technocracy, which fits in even more nicely with the sixth carbon budget, because we've been studying the sixth carbon budget, and the sixth carbon budget basically will dictate to you and me exactly what we can and can't do, and actually most things we can't do. So it's already clear from the sixth carbon budget that we will be told essentially what we can eat. We will be told we're not able to fly. We'll be told who we can see and when, and it's already been considered as bad for the environment for us to actually meet our fellow human beings. So this is the way we're going to get railroaded into this sixth carbon budget. So all of those things fit together essentially, and I'd just like to sort of round this off by saying that I do think we're in a race against the clock here, because the technocrats with their top-down designs for how we are going to live are very determined, and they have absolutely zero interest in our liberty. That does not count in their plans. In fact, liberty has to be withdrawn once and for all. And I actually think that liberty will extend to our own, basically, bodies. I think we've already seen the Nuremberg Code basically ripped up and in the dustbin, essentially. Near enough, we're well on the road to that. And I've read some technical papers they've been preparing about compulsory vaccination. And I wouldn't be amazed if that was an objective or a wish, let's say, from these individuals. So, we are a little bit up against the wall with these people, unfortunately. So, I very much think it's thankfully we have the new political movements, Heritage and Recovery, and the others. And that really is the only hope. And I don't think we have essentially that long to exercise that hope, because, as I said, the level of determination is very high. And once we reach a tipping point, I think Dr. Yaden kind of referred to this, once the electronic passports are in or something else is done, you're over the line, basically, in terms of a technocracy and a totalitarian system. And that point's not very far away. It's actually nearer, unfortunately, than the election cycle. So, this is a period of significant danger. We have some certain ideas about that we don't really want to basically get into at the moment in this format, but happy to work some more. So anyway, that was the end of what we wanted to say today. I think there's some very, very important messages in the 7 hours of testimony. We went through it, and as you can see, I think we've ended up with some conclusions that you won't see in the mainstream media. And I hope this has been useful. I think many people already understand this, and probably those that don't probably won't get it. But, we hope this just gives you a little bit more information, a few more data sources, and you'll find a lot on the website that really explains all of these things and providing more information too. So thank you very much. Hope you found this useful, and I'm not going to say stay safe. I'm going to stay free is far more relevant at the moment. Thank you. Bye.